Hey y'all, welcome back to Susie on the Farm. If you're new here, I'm Susie, and in today's video, I'm taking some inexpensive thrift store items, turning them into unique, personalized Christmas gifts for loved ones. I hope y'all enjoy this video. It's going to be jam-packed with inspiration and ideas for you to do the same. So if you're ready, let's go ahead and get started with today's projects. Project number one is a doozy. It's going to take a little bit, but I am so thrilled with how it turned out. So I picked up this ottoman slash box container recently. I did not pay very much for it. It's very large, as you can see. It almost doesn't even fit on the screen. And I thought that we would do a makeover so I could give this as a Christmas gift to one of my daughters who is an avid sewer. And so what I'm going to do to begin with is decoupage some pattern paper on there. But first, I do need to paint it. And that's just because I want the paper to really pop and all the colors to show. I know there's not color on the actual pattern paper, but I have a big surprise that I'm going to be putting on there as well. So I'm just giving this a couple coats of white swan on the entire thing. At first I decided not to paint the hardware. I do end up painting that later, so if I get any paint on it right now, that's fine. I just gave it all a good coat of this white swan and then I let it dry. While it was drying, I ripped up a bunch of pieces of that pattern paper. I'm not going for any rhyme or reason or pattern per se. I'm just ripping this into smaller pieces so that I can apply it to this box. To decoupage the paper down, I am using DIY liquid patina. I'm using this over the fusion gel because it's thinner. This paper is like tissue paper, so the liquid patina pretty much goes straight through it. So I know that I'm going to get really good adhesion this way. So I'm just laying a little bit down, and then I will take my paper, push it in, using my fingers or the paintbrush and get it all down. Like I said, I'm not doing any kind of, I'm trying not to think too much about this. I'm just laying it down and sticking it. I'm trying to cover most of the white areas. I don't have to cover them all because we're going to have another element on this, but it did take me quite a bit to do this. This is actually going to be a Christmas gift for my daughter. And I don't think she has the time to watch my videos. She does have a full-time job and she has her own hobbies that she loves. So hopefully she is not seeing this video. But I am just going all over this and decoupaging this pattern paper on. It's going to be a perfect background for what I have planned next. I'm also not overly concerned about wrinkles. This tissue paper is basically like doing a napkin, and you're just going to have some wrinkles when you decoupage that. It's not like a decoupage paper or a rice paper. I'm also not concerned if I overlap. That will just give more color variations, as you'll see when it's all complete here. So while that's drying, I'm going to show you the inspiration for this entire project. I have already cut into this, but I was at a yard sale a month or so ago, and I found a ladies' journal. This is actually a Weldon's ladies' journals from England from the 1930s, and it's a fashion one, and y'all, I am obsessed with this magazine. It was tattered and torn, and one of them didn't even have a cover, but the vintage ads are so fun. The photographs are amazing. All the fashion, and this one's all about patterns. So there was lots of sewing. I have already cut into it and made a lot of paper ephemera for my journals. These are just some tags and some journaling spots. And then I thought about this ottoman box, case, whatever it is. And I thought that it would be amazing to make this super vintage as well. Look at these ads. They're just amazing. So these are a few of the things that I've already created using this magazine. And now I'm going to go through this magazine and pick out some ads and some photos. And I'm trying to stick with all like sewing type ephemera. So instead of cutting, I'm going to tear all these edges. I just think there's a few things I'll cut out, some of the smaller ads, but for the most part, this paper is very fragile and it tears very easily. So I'm just using a ruler, tearing out wording and ads and photographs that I want to use. I don't know if y'all are like me, but even as a little girl, I used to love paper dolls, cutting things out, gluing them down. I think that's why I really enjoy the junk journaling so much like I do now. And anytime that I can incorporate a little paper into my crafts, I'm going to do it because I'm just paper obsessed. Let me know if you are like this. And while we're on that subject, while I'm ripping up all these papers and everything, I am considering starting a second YouTube channel for my paper crafting. So y'all let me know in the comments below if that would be something that you're interested in. I don't want to do it on this same channel. I don't want to mess up the algorithm. So I think I will do another one. And I have been journaling for a while now, and it's been mostly just for my personal. It gives me inspiration. It gets me going. It's just a great way to express yourself, I guess you would say. And you may even be wondering what junk journals are. So I'll do a lot of explaining of that too and telling you how I use them and such. But if you're interested in that, just let me know. So I got all these cut out, and I'm going to fussy cut around these color images, like the larger ladies. I'm actually fussy cutting around them. And if you don't know what fussy cutting is, it's just cutting around an object. It's actually pretty easy to do. And I guess because to me, I find it quite relaxing. It's quite tedious. And I'm sure not everyone enjoys fussy cutting. I do, however. So this was no problem for me. So I fussy cut out a lot of the color images. And once I get them all cut out, we're going to also start decoupaging these onto the ottoman. Okay, here is our case, all decoupaged with the pattern paper. As you can see where the overlappings are, the color's different. It's all dry. I have a few white spots, but no worries. We're going to cover those with some of this gorgeous vintage magazine. But first, some of these I am going to be inking the edges. I just made me like a vintage photo ink using yellow and black and red IOD ink. I also have some Tim Holtz, but for this project, I liked my homemade one even better. And I'm going to stick with the liquid patina, put a good layer down. For this top image, I'm doing the whole front page of that pattern with the three ladies on it, but the rest of it's going to be smaller pieces. We're going to go all the way down to the vintage ads. And I'm just going to randomly decoupage this stuff all over this case. And I know I keep calling it all these different things. It's an ottoman, it's a case, it's a trunk, I don't know. It's a box, whatever it is. It's going to be super vintage and super fun. And I can't wait to show you guys how it turned out. So I got these all decoupaged on. I'm even going over the sides, just, you know, randomly putting everything in place. It ended up turning out so good. To finish it off, I did end up painting the hardware black and distressing it. And I also took some dark wax and just went around all the edges, the seams, everything like that, just to give it a real vintage feel and also darken up any of that white paint that might be peeking through here or there. And y'all, the pictures of this do not even do justice to how amazing this turned out. I also, one other thing is the handle. I had this vintage tape measure that had came in with some sewing notions I had bought, and it was just perfect. So I painted the handle black on the top side and glued that on just to give it that final sewing feel. And look how gorgeous this is. I know my daughter is going to love it. She loves decorating vintage. Her style is a little bit more mid-century modern, but I feel like she can definitely make this work in her sewing room, and I hope she loves it. For 2 and 3, I had a sweet customer cleaning out, and she brought me a whole bunch of things, and these were in those boxes. They both have great bones. The deer was good as is, but I actually dropped him and broke his leg, so I had to repair that, which means I need to paint over my repair. To do that, I painted both of them with 2 coats of DIY weathered wood paint. DIY is a clay-based paint. It does need to be sealed. And to finish these off, I am using Cottage Colors, which is also a DIY product, but it has a built-in sealer. And I am just dry brushing the color Crockery over all of these high spots. To dry brush, if you don't know how, you just put a little bit of paint on your brush, wipe most of it back, and then just lightly go over your project, and it just sticks on all those little high spots and just adds so much detail, where before you couldn't see these sweet little angels or the sweet little cherubs holding up this vase, and now you can. And look at that sweet deer with his little smile on his face. These make perfect gifts, and I just love how they turned out. I love the combination of these 2 colors together as well. Next project, I seem to have collected quite a few pitchers and pots. I have a whole shelf of them in my stock room, so I thought now would be a great time to upcycle some of them. These are perfect and shiny, and I don't want to paint them. And a perfect way to decorate your pitchers and pots that you thrift for next to nothing, I only paid $1.99 for this black one, is to use Iron Orchid Design transfers. Now these are very, very curved, and it is not easy to put a transfer on a surface that is curved like this. I do find it somewhat easier to cut my transfer in half, and they do have that grid line, which makes lining them up so easy to do. With this one, you just want to go super slow. I do have this sped up at least 2 times, but just know that you have to be very, very patient on a curved surface. See there, I had to actually lift it up, and you can just lay it back down to where it goes and rub again. And it's okay if you don't get it perfect and they overlap just a little bit. It's not even noticeable. So I got the one half on, I'm just using my finger to burnish them down onto this shiny ceramic and then lining them up. And I will do the same thing with the second half. Just lay it on there and rub it all in. This is the white one. I got it on the same day, and I'm doing the exact same thing. This one's a little bit of a bigger transfer. I did have a little bit of wrinkling and overlapping here, and it actually just added to the vintage feel of this, and I think they turned out perfect. When I am putting transfers on a shiny surface like this, it is recommended that you seal your IOD transfers, but I have been doing this for years now, and I have so many projects that I have just in my home that I have put this on that are just home decor that I have not sealed, and they are all still just as perfect as they were the day that I did them 3 years ago. So I am not going to seal. I don't seal these with the shiny surface. I don't want to change the sheen of them. I just make sure that I take my finger and burnish them down really well. And when I'm cleaning or dusting, I just use a dry rag and wipe them off. They, of course, do not go in the dishwasher or anything. Mind you, I do have a couple on a Stanley, and I have washed it in the dishwasher many times, and it's still on there perfect as well. But these also make the most perfect gifts. My mother-in-law collects teapots, so I will probably do her one of these this year also. But in the meantime, these will be on my website or on my Whatnot sale tomorrow night if they are still available, if you want to just purchase your own to give as gifts. Be sure you join me over on Whatnot tomorrow night at 6 p.m. I'm not doing Whatnot shows very often, but I'll do like one a month, and this is my handmade Christmas one. So I hope to see y'all there. For our last project today, I'm going to use this Upcycled paper, and I'm almost embarrassed to tell y'all how long I have had this paper. I would say it's probably been 3 or 4 years, so long that this particular paper, I think, is actually discontinued. I'm so sorry to say, this is a Lexi Grenzer art of this gorgeous fox. The other side has a bear. Now this is a large sign, one of those canvas signs that you see all over the thrift stores. This one was actually brought to me by that same customer. I am painting it white to cover that because I'm going to decoupage this gorgeous fox on there. And I have tons of Upcycled decoupage papers on my website that are similar to this. If you have a loved one who likes, let's say there's an owl, there's a peacock, there's chickens, lots of large, gorgeous art that you can turn your own thrifted canvases into personalized art for gifts. I just happened to do this fox one. Now this is a large piece, and the canvas, I should have laid something flat underneath there because the canvas kept moving on me. I did end up getting a few wrinkles, but that's okay. It's just going to add to the whole effect of this project. But it is possible to get a large one down like this with no wrinkles. Just do it in small pieces. As you can see, I am working my way down and then using my brush to get out most of the wrinkles. I'm not concerned with the rest. As you can tell, this whole art image is kind of a multimedia type thing. So it did not cover all of my canvas, which I could leave it white, but I picked out a color that is in the painting, and I decided, and this is, I think this is sea glass. This is DIY paint in the color sea glass, and I'm just going to paint a frame around this. If I get it on the paper, it's not a big deal for two reasons. One, like I said, this is a multimedia project. It doesn't have to be perfect. And 2, I have already sealed that paper in with that liquid patina when I decoupaged it on. So it is no big deal just to take a baby wipe and wipe any of this DIY paint off, because it is water-based, and until it is sealed, it can be removed. So I'm just painting this frame and the sides of the canvas in this gorgeous sea glass color, and I'm going to do 2 coats. And then once them 2 coats are dry, I want to blend this together a little bit, and I've just went through, picked out a few little mark making things. I'm using a lid. I don't even know what that first little black thing was. And this is Golden Ticket. This is a liquid patina. And I'm just going to randomly make some marks over the image. I don't really want to cover Mr. Fox, but I'm just going to put a little bit of that liquid patina onto my mark making things and just blend all that together. Just adds another layer of dimension. When I got all this liquid patina on, after I stopped filming, I also decided to add a few little white bubble-like things on there too. So that's why you see those here. And this is gorgeous. Oh my gosh, I love this fox. Like I said, this paper is discontinued, or I can't find it on the Upcycled retailers, but there are so many to choose from, and you can make handmade art for gifts using thrifted canvases. That is all I have for y'all in this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it and you've got some inspiration to turn your own thrifted items into handmade gifts and art for your family and your loved ones. If you need any paint or products to complete your thrift flips, you can get those all on SusieOnTheFarm.com. I'll also leave a link below. Thank y'all so much for watching, and I will see you next week.